Hi, this is another health talk, and this one is about a funny thing called oligosaccharides. Yes, that's a mouthful, and when I first saw it, which wasn't even on the internet, I was very confused about what that meant. So let's start with what oligosaccharides are. Okay, first of all, it's a type of carbohydrate chain. It's got 3 to 10 simple sugars, and those simple sugars are also called monosaccharides. So, table sugar, also called sucrose, is made up of two simple sugars, glucose and fructose. So, stepping off from there have been some studies on the effects of oligosaccharides. And I didn't know about this. I just decided that because I've been having problems with hypoglycemic crashes after having stuff with enough sugar in it, whether it was like grapes or it was a bunch of cookies or a cake or ice cream or whatever. I would get to the point where I'd be at my computer working on a project and my brain would get all foggy and I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't remember what I was doing and I couldn't work, and I would end up having to put my head down and sleep for however long. Sometimes it was half an hour, sometimes it was a couple of hours. And it was very frustrating for me. And so I started to get artificial and natural sweeteners, alternatives that should not affect my brain and my body the way I was experiencing. And the first thing I went for was the stevia and sucralose sweetener sold at Aldi in the big bags. Of course, you want to go for the big bag. More savings, right? Unfortunately, those products, except for one particular one that's packets, contain maltodextrin, which has a glycemic index of 100 to 150, which is way higher than sugar. So I was still having the same problem. And eventually I found out maltodextrin was the cause. So I started looking for other choices. And although there are tons of sweeteners on the grocery store shelves, I mean, not Aldi, but like at Kroger and Meijer, there are lots of choices. So I started looking, and some of them had things like maltodextrin and dextrin and maltitol and sorbitol and xylitol, all of which can spike your blood sugar. So I looked very carefully and eliminated everything that had anything that was suspiciously close to going, maybe even making a moderate spike that would affect my brain's functions and make me fall asleep. I don't want that. It's so aggravating. So I tried different ones, and then a couple of months ago I tried a particular one, and after I was done I was like, oh, okay, it's not very sweet. I had to use a lot of it to get the level of sweetness that I wanted in my oatmeal, and so I was kind of disappointed with it. I was like, and then I tried another one after that one, and I felt the same way. Oh, my cat wants to play with me. He loves playing fetch. So then I noticed I had, I think, some non-dairy frozen dessert, and I didn't get a sugar spike. I didn't get the crash. And I tried another thing, and I tried another thing. No crashes, except for one time, I think it was. And I was baffled. I was thinking, what the heck happened? How have I gone from having this problem happen to me all, every day pretty much, and now I'm not experiencing it? And you have to understand, my hemoglobin A1C has always been normal. And my doctor refused to test my insulin levels because she didn't feel that there was any reason for concern, which I totally disagree with. But, so I thought back and I thought, well, what did I do differently? And I thought about the things that I had tried recently, and I realized, oh, well, there was that one funny sweetener that I used that said oligosaccharides in it. I know oligosaccharides are supposed to be maybe like, they're not dangerous for people with diabetes or having hypoglycemic crashes like me. So I wonder if that's what happened. If maybe that product's oligosaccharides was somehow helping me. So I looked it up, and sure enough, that's exactly what I discovered. So I looked at this study that was performed by the Royal Society of Chemistry, the rsc.org, and they have a study in the category, the Journal of Food and Function, called Effects of Oligosaccharides on the Markers of Glycemic Control, a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials. Now let me break that down to you. Markers of glycemic control are things that they test, like HbA1c, that show how your body is reacting to blood sugar. Glycemic index indicates how much sugar is going to go into your bloodstream. Glycemic load shows how fast that sugar is going to go into your bloodstream. So something with a high glycemic index and a high glycemic load means you're going to get this huge sugar spike. Something with a medium glycemic index, and I'm sorry, if it's high, it could be medium, it could be low. If it's medium, it can be a medium load or a low load. But if the index is low, it can only be a low load. So, yeah, so that's what that means. Then a systematic review and meta-analysis. That means that they didn't do their own research in terms of like actually doing an experiment. What they did is they collected the research papers from medical journals and chemistry journals and stuff like that, scientific journals that were on this particular topic. And specifically randomized controlled trials. So randomized means that and hopefully it's double-blind randomized. Randomized means that the person didn't know what they were going to get. And control means, of course, this is not something where the person just does it themselves and may or may not follow the instructions. This is administered for them to ensure that they get the amounts that need to be tested. Okay, so they looked at the markers, so including fasting blood glucose, which is the FBG, fasting blood insulin, or FBI. Yeah, not the Federal Bureau of Investigation, okay? Glycated hemoglobin, which is HbA1c. Please don't ask me what glycated is. I'm pretty sure it has to do with glycogen, which is the form of sugar that's in your bloodstream, or that's and saved into your cells. So I would imagine that's how much sugar is in your hemoglobin, but I'm just guessing there. Then there's homeostasis model assessment of insulin resistance, HOMA-IR, and quantitative insulin sensitivity index, or QuickEye. So those were some of them that they tested. They did not this is the abstract that I'm looking at right now. They did not list all of the markers that they investigated during this meta study. And again, a meta study is where you look at a whole bunch of different experiments that were performed and try to extract meaningful information from them. Okay, so they searched the Cochrane Library databases, PubMed, Embase as well, to find those randomized controlled trials on the effects of oligosaccharide intervention on those markers up to June of 2021. Then they pulled all that difference using all that data using what's called a weighted mean difference. So they gave a specific weight or extra value or greater or lesser value to each study's results based on things like confounding factors and stuff like that. Confounding factors are things like, did they control for other factors that would have possibly created the results that were got at the end of the study. And they have a 95% confidence in the results with a variance of 0.05. So the risk of bias was also assessed, and they had a total of 46 randomized control trials that they did actually use. Now, risk of bias means they look at potential sources of bias in the studies that they're considering for inclusion, and then they eliminate the ones that have too much bias. Okay, so here's what they said. They said in the abstract: oligosaccharides significantly reduced FBG, and let's see. So the fasting blood glucose, fasting blood insulin, glycated hemoglobin, homeostasis model assessment of insulin resistance, but not quick eye. And I'm not going to bother boring you with the technical information here about what the numbers were. I don't even fully understand all of that myself. But they also said oligosaccharides were more beneficial for the participants with obesity or diabetes than for healthy participants, which is not to say it wasn't helpful for healthy participants. Okay, it's just that the people who benefited the most were either overweight or had diabetes. Multiple interventions per day consolidated the effectiveness of oligosaccharides. Regardless of the processing manner, starch modified or naturally extracted of the oligosaccharides, their intervention was overall beneficial for the patients with diabetes. Conclusions: the study is by far the most extensive systematic review to evaluate the role of oligosaccharides on the markers of glycemic control. Oligosaccharide interventions can exert beneficial effects on those 4 of the 5 markers. So, in other words, if you regularly consume oligosaccharides, it can help to moderate your blood sugar, therefore reducing the impact of the sugar you consume. Now, this is not a justification for you to go crazy with your sugar. I'm sharing this with you because it can help protect your health. So if you're trying to control your diabetes, you're trying to control your obesity, and you're having these crashes where you just kind of pass out because, it's like Thanksgiving. You pig out on all this food and suddenly you're... That is a hypoglycemic crash in essence. So now you're probably wondering, which products can I buy in order to take advantage of oligosaccharides? Well, the easiest thing to do is search for oligosaccharide products or sweeteners with oligosaccharides or fiber with oligosaccharides or something like that. The one that I tried, and I am not endorsing this product, and nor am I trying to suggest that this is the only option you have. It is the only one that I personally noticed when I was looking at that huge collection at those stores of the sweeteners that has the oligosaccharides, okay? And it's this one, the Swerve with that's granular, okay? And it is non-GMO, certified by NSF, okay? Now, if you have any questions about what I've shared with you, or you are unable to figure out how to search for oligosaccharide products, which I guess I can understand some people wouldn't know how to do that, leave a message. I'll try to help you out when I have time. I am a busy guy. I got a full-time job, I got kids, and I've got projects that I'm working on all the time. So, like this stuff. But try it. And be consistent, and please, if you notice results, good or bad, I don't care which, if you notice results, please do let me know. I would love to hear from you and find out how it helped or did not, because again, I don't have diabetes, I'm not overweight, I lost 45 pounds last year by doing a lot of research on nutrition and diet and getting a lot of exercise as well, and so I dropped 6 belt sizes, okay? And 45 pounds in 6 months. I could have done it faster than that, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't going too fast and risking something. So give me a thumbs up and a subscribe if you don't mind, and share this with other people. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.